Original species seem to be the trend lately, don't they? While just about anyone can make their own, only a handful reach the heights of popularity. There are very few names you will hear as often as dragons, cats, foxes, and the other most common critters. Dutch angel dragons are arguably the most popular original species to exist in furry fandom. Even if you don't have one yourself, you have almost assuredly heard of them. Telephone, the character created by Eno89777, has become an icon of the furry fandom, and the face of the species as a whole. Today we're going to talk about how exactly the dads we know and love came to be. Hello Furs from the web, my name is Scar, and this is the story of the Dutch angel dragons. Stay tuned. Although often confused to be the same as Dutch angel dragons, or Dutchies as I'll be referring to them some of the time, angel dragons do go beyond. Angel dragons aren't a single entity, instead just being a term used by many different canons to reference a dragon with more angelic features. This could mean feathery wings, white scales, or a halo above their head. Angel dragons have been seen throughout media and history, such as the ancient Asian lung dragon, or something more obscure like Fortudo from Bayonette. Angel dragons have a more modern connotation, however, one that represents chibi or more cutesy-style dragons. The Dutch Angel Dragon website goes into detail about this. Angel dragons are one of the many names used by the community for Dutchies, but it does have other meanings beyond that. Eno and Co. have put a lot of time into defining the differences between the two. Given how much time it's focused on, I did want to talk about this. Dutchies are only a single kind of angelic dragon, and it has unique traits that could make one easily identifiable. Beyond physical appearances, Dutchies also conform deeply to the ethos of angels in general, serving as mystical guardians and previously found themselves in a realm called Paradise. Angelic-style dragons have their influence on the final style of Dutchies, but the original concept came from somewhere personal. Eno, the person behind the mask of Telephone and the species as a whole, was deeply inspired by real-world figures in her life. Telephone and the Dutchies all started from the tribute of a beloved friend, a special horse, and the bond he shared with Eno. When Eno was just a child in Arizona, she had long dreamt of owning a horse. Those dreams became a reality when she crossed paths with Deborah, the owner of a ranch. One of her horses caught Eno's eye, and she spent her birthday money savings to lease him. The horse, however, was a difficult one, gaining a reputation for being unrideable since he threw off his riders every time they tried. Eno climbed atop, and, unsurprisingly, she was thrown off just like everyone else. But it was the second time where that changed. Over the course of that day in January 2006, the two formed a unique bond, one Eno had only dreamed about. This horse was named Dutch, and so Eno continued to pay her lease, keeping the horse at Deborah's ranch and meeting him whenever she had the opportunity. Deborah even expressed disbelief at how they connected when Dutch had such a difficult history with other people. It was August 1st, 2006 when tragedy struck, though. Dutch developed equine colic, which is a broad term that covers different kinds of abdominal pain. His case was rather severe and was going to require surgery. Specifically, he was suffering from twisted intestines and it needed to be set properly. Eno attended and refused to leave during the operation. Afterward, he woke up and tried to go outside. Eno walked up with him and helped the groggy horse to the recovery stall, and eventually back to his own. Despite wanting to stay the night with him, the vet clinic insisted Eno go home and get some rest. The calls and pacing hooves of Dutch would be the last thing Eno heard of her beloved friend. The next morning, Deborah was on the phone in tears with the bad news. Dutch, Eno's horse, her best friend, her dream, was gone. Complications in the surgery led to his passing at the age of 9 years old, and in a future-fitting way of words, she spoke, "I felt like my soul was taken and there was nothing left. My guardian angel had left me." Dutch became the namesake for the Dutch angel dragons. A common question asked by those unfamiliar with the species is, why are they Dutch? Well, no, Dutchies don't originate from the Netherlands. The name came from Eno's first horse, one she grew up with and held very dearly in her heart. 2 days later, the Rim Country Gazette released an article in their newspaper. 13-year-old to lose his horse, best friend, made the front page telling everyone the story of Eno and her horse. From the available clipping, the writer quotes an email Deborah sent out to a handful of friends. It told the story of Dutch and Eno, and the unfortunate fate he succumbed to. Ino was in tears at the sight, and many others understood. When the story broke, people from all over the country were sending in donations. Or it might be county, because I think that might be a typo. Ultimately, though, they had donated enough money to cover the $7,000 in vet bills from the procedure. The remaining funds Ino took and hoped to find another horse with, another friend to call her own. Unfortunately, finding another equine she connected so closely with was difficult. Days and weeks went by meeting new horses, but none she could connect with as deeply. That was until 2 months later in September, when she came across a bay horse that approached her when no other would. Ino and Deborah took this horse home. Ino once again citing an angelic feeling, quote, "With everything that has happened, I feel like I must have some guardian angel watching over me in the sky." And with such, she named the new horse Sky. Over time across Arizona, Ino and Sky went on to win 6 belt buckles in barrel racing events. They even made it to the Arizona Barrel Racing Nationals together. Sky also happened to be 4 years older than Dutch, meaning the two shared the same age and celebrated their birthdays together. Sky lived on until passing away in 2017, living a full life alongside his loving owner. And in the footsteps of Dutch, Sky also contributed to the iconography of Dutch Angel Dragons. His legacy lives on as the mascot of Sky Pro Fursuits, a maker that was pivotal in the popularity of Dutch Angel Dragons. Before Ino took her first step inside Telephone, though, the character went through a long history of development and design. It all began with the memory of her first best friend. In February 2009, roughly 3 years after she had first met Dutch, Ino joined Fur Affinity. 7 months later, she posted a submission simply titled, "Follow Me." Alongside it, she included a poem written by Michelle Newton of the same name. The art piece featured Ino riding atop an angelic creature, reminiscent of her old horse Dutch. This was the first time the famous Telephone was conceptualized and shared with the world. Some of Telephone's oldest depictions show a darker theme for the character than most would recognize nowadays. She was often portrayed as a ghostly figure, guarding over graveyards at night or whenever it rained. Details were scarce, and Ino worked hard to create the story of the character. Telephone also had a winterized version and had eye colors that changed depending on the situation. At the start of 2011, Ino and Phoenix Wolf decided to do a fursuit trade of each other's characters. For Ino, she picked Telephone. It was completed by the end of that summer, bringing forward the first iteration of Telephone. At the end of the year, when the two met up at Midwest Fur Fest, Phoenix Wolf went the extra mile and surprised Ino with a full suit to finish off the character. Bella from the fursuit maker Autumn Fallings helped create the bodysuit. Although not as chibied as the more famous Telephone 2.0 suit, the original's anatomy was more consistent with the older character design of Telephone. It had more pronounced equine-inspired anatomy. Across conventions, the new fursuiter Telephone performed for attendees both in the hall and on stage during dance competitions. She gained some exposure, although nothing near the amount of fame she has today. After Texas Furry Fiesta at the start of 2013, though, Phoenix Wolf wanted to make some improvements and asked Ino if she could take possession of Telephone for a while. Ino was reluctant, as she loved the suit as is, but Phoenix Wolf persuaded her regardless. The next month in March, Telephone was given new life with a brand new 2.0 suit. This fursuit has become the Telephone most are familiar with today, with its more chibi and modernized style. The new suit drew in a lot more attention at the conventions, including the furry comedian the Ranting Griffin. Griffin made a video titled, "What the hell is it?" unaware of what species it was supposed to be. He simply called it,
"This is the cutest thing in Atlanta today."
This video gained a lot of attention and is what Ino credits as skyrocketing the popularity of the character. With all the attention headed her way, Ino was overwhelmed with all the questions she was receiving. Many people also expressed interest in making characters similarly, reflecting a sparked interest in the species. It was then she decided to flesh it out. A year passed with many people asking questions about Telephone. Who was the person behind the suit? What species were they? Can we make similar characters? Ino was reluctant at first to give out much information, but after realizing she didn't want Telephone to be alone, she tried opening up the species to the public fandom in early 2014. She started by making a fur affinity group for the community, helping collate fans and some basic species info in one place. At first, most of the information was intentionally scarce so she could spend time developing the more detailed aspect of Dutchies. The popularity of the species grew like wildfire, though, and it overwhelmed Ino and her helper, the Archangel Torch, which led to her abandoning the parent account. Archangels were and are individuals who rise above the community as leaders and often take up positions in the community. Remix, who at the time was an Archangel, was tasked with opening up a Facebook group for the Dutch Angel Dragon community. It replaced the original group and served a similar purpose. The new group underwent many changes and grew to over 2,800 members. Telephone Suit also underwent some changes. Eno commissioned Phoenix Wolf to make a winterized version in May of 2014. Eno also did a makeover of the original bodysuit and commissioned new paws from Starla Wolf. At the start of 2015, the Facebook group was brought offline and rebranded as the official Dutch Angel Dragon community. Coinciding with the new formal name was an official Twitter account and a website. The website, as expected, has undergone some changes over its lifetime. It primarily serves the purpose of archiving information about the species and its creator, whereas the Facebook group served as the hub for official events and community interaction. In 2018, the Facebook group surpassed 10,000 members and in the modern day has over 11,100. The Dutchie community is still going strong and has stayed in the spotlight for many years. From humble beginnings, Eno managed to foster a group of fans that celebrate the species together, under one united community. The Dutchie community stands strong as one of the strongest subgroups in the fandom. Telephone has become an icon, and the species sits among the most popular. At one point in 2017, a custom social media platform was in development, but it seems to have never come to fruition. The hope was to migrate away from Facebook, but still today the group chat serves a vital role in the community. Many archangels and ambassadors of the community have risen and helped thousands of fans. Over the years, the lore of the Dutch Angel Dragons has expanded substantially, enough to the point where it would require a video all of its own, and that might happen in the future. In the last year or two, the Telephone Fursuit took a bit of a hiatus. Part of this was because of the pandemic. The major reason that Eno publicly shared recently, though, was that she had simply outgrown the suit. In May 2021, she announced her plans to make a new one in January. Telephone 3.0 was completed early, however, and debuted at Biggest Little FurCon 2021. 2.0 and 3.0 performed together around the hotel and convention space, celebrating a long-beloved character. While it is unknown if there are any more gigantic plans in the near future for the Dutchies, they have solidified themselves and are one of furry fandom's most recognized creations. Sometimes it's hard to believe it just started from a young teenage girl and an unshakable love for her horse. While I am sure he is watching this video, I am certain my friend Nitrogen has no idea I'm going to be shouting him out in this outro. Nitro is the oldest friend I still have in the fandom, and he has been my connection to the Dutch Angel Dragons for most of my time here. He is absolutely awesome and hecking adorable at the same time. So if you want to go to join my Discord, you can say hi to him. Currently, I have polls up on my Twitter and my YouTube about what the next history video is going to be. I'm going to let them run a little bit longer, so until next time when we talk about whichever wins those polls, stay tuned.